Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Wine Time with Peggy show, featuring Peggy Fiandaca, who, along with her winemaker husband Kurt Lawrence Dunham, owns and operates LDV Winery in Arizona. Hey, everybody, it is time for Wine Time with Peggy here. You know what? It is summer, as we all know, and it's pretty hot and warm depending where you are in the country. But in Arizona, it is definitely hot, and it's got a wonderful monsoon season. And we're actually in Tucson as we record this. Peggy is in Scottsdale, right? Are you in Scottsdale today? Where are you?
I am up in the valley. Yes, I am. The
Hang.
valley of the very hot sun.
Yeah, but you have all kinds of cool events at the tasting room at ldvwinery.com is the website to go to for that. So, what's going on this summer? Have you got more events? I saw you doing a wine and cheese pairing the other day, and
Right. We
yeah,
did that, and we have winemaker talk tomorrow, or we do that on Saturdays, and so we have that coming up, and we have rosé in August that we're going to be talking all about rosé and tasting some different rosés, and
cool.
so we have the winemaker talks. We have a winemaker dinner at the end of August, which is a lot of fun. It's very limited to only 20 people, and it's
Ooh.
four courses paired with our wines, and we have a lot of fun. And sometimes it's hard to get them out of the tasting room to go home after an
Well,
evening
I
of.
I know Nancy and I had, dinner and wine with you, you both, you and Kurt, when we saw you last year, and I'm like, that was too much fun. Like, I don't want
Yeah,
to go home either. And we didn't. we,
yeah,
we don't know
yeah.
where home is, but no, I'm kidding. But that was awesome, because you guys really know the inside of pairings. And that kind of leads me into I know we're going to talk about fruit and pairings today. And I want to get into the vineyard report and the term of the month, but in pairing, like when you're making wines, yeah, doing the winemaking part, and you guys do your tasting to see is it ready for release, and actually even thinking about when you do the harvest, which I know is coming
Right,
soon, right?
right.
Um, when you're doing all that, do you start to think, well, we want to go this way with the wine because it will pair well with these foods? Is that part of your process in how you go in decision making?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ah,
But as Kurt more than I, since he's out in the vineyard and touching all the vines on a regular basis, but he is thinking about what at this time of year as we're in veraison, and so the grapes are changing colors and they're shifting to begin to produce sugar instead of just growing like crazy. They're shifting their energy towards ripening. And he begins to start tasting them, of course, smelling the aromas that they're putting off out in the vineyard. And he starts thinking about what he's going to do with those grapes. And not only what barrel is he going to put it in, but maybe what kind of wine profile it will have. And then, what he might be pairing that with. So if he's walking through the Grenache block, he's thinking different pairings and different thoughts about what barrels, French barrels or American oak barrels he might be putting those grapes in. So it's an evolution process, but yeah, it's all part of it.
yeah, because I always think, because especially what are popular foods for people to make, you know.
Right,
So I know
right,
that some things, not everyone's buying guavas, we're talking
right,
about fruit. But I mean, I used to live with those in my backyard. It's just like you just go eat a guava, you're
right.
hungry, go to the garden. So, I really miss that. That is so
I
cool
bet
to
you
have
do.
that.
Yeah,
I,
I bet you do.
however, where we are in Tucson, I'm about to pick a big fat cantaloupe, and it's already starting to smell good. So we
Yum.
gotta we gotta talk about that in wine, because
Yes.
yeah, I like to put pepper on cantaloupe. I don't know if I'm weird or what.
Pepper. I put sea salt, but
Oh, okay.
pepper I haven't tried, but that makes sense.
Black
Absolutely.
pepper. And
Yeah,
well, I
no.
read about it in Ayurveda. It helps break down the cantaloupe. And I like
Oh,
spice
interesting.
on sweet things. And so I figured,
Right.
and it just has this whole other taste. I do it with beer too. I put salt and
Oh,
pepper in beer, not
okay.
IPAs or anything, but if it's like light beer, yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
sorry, we went off into a different drink here, you know.
Well, it fits but the salt and pepper, it fits on fruit and it does
Mhm.
add a little spice or brings out the fruit flavor a little bit when you put salt on things. So
Oh,
yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay. Well, how's the vineyard?
The vineyard is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, this is
I
the
bet.
time of year to visit a vineyard when the grapes are turning colors and we're going through veraison. And like I said, they're starting to ripen, and the Grenache, in my opinion, is the most beautiful as it turns from
Mm,
the green grapes to it's a it has pinks and oranges and
mm.
reds and purple and everything. On one cluster, you might get all of those colors
Oh,
as
wow.
it's evolving. It's just incredible. And so when veraison stops, or as it's just probably midway through veraison on all of our grape varieties, we're about 45 days to harvest then, so
Oh, my.
it's an important marker in the process of growing the grapes. And so what we're doing in the vineyard, we added some trace nutrients and fungicide. Remember, because we have monsoon rain in Arizona, and before those clusters really close up tight, we want to put some fungicide in there to protect them from rot and molding when the rains come. So we did that. It's a preventative measure
Mm.
for us. We turned the bird guard because, of course, because the birds now are very interested in the vineyard because
Sure.
those grapes are getting sweet and they're going to start wanting to partake in the fruits of our labor. So we have to protect them.
Wow. So what happens? What do you do with that? Like, I mean, I know people that used to shoot off cannons and stuff. Like,
It's same kind of thing. I mean, it's a bird guard, so we have several of them in the vineyard, and they make this unbelievably horrible noise of a raptor
oh,
attacking another bird. So it scares them away, and it's
well, that doesn't
loud
hurt though.
and right. I don't want to do netting. A lot of people do netting for not only for bird guard, but also for hail. It helps
Mm.
with hail too,
Oh,
damage. But I don't want to pick out dead birds that get stuck in nets.
oh, we did that once when we did seedlings while we were planting a wildflower garden with all these native
Yeah.
plants, but the soil wasn't ready, so everything came out these little. Anyway, it was an interesting little garden.
Okay.
It was a miniature garden, like
Uh,
really. And then we learned how to amend soil. But all these desert iguanas got wrapped up in the netting, and we
yeah.
were horrified. We were devastated because birds got it,
Right.
like, because we had all the little goldfinches. And we didn't need, if we just left them, because the goldfinches ate the aphids
Right.
off the roses. It was like this
Right.
perfect ecosystem later once we got it. But netting is mean, I think.
I agree. So we make a pact with the birds and say you can have the fruit on the first couple layers or acre or rows on either side of the vineyard.
Smart.
You can have those, but stay away from the rest. And they're pretty darn good. But they start realizing, learning what that bird guard is all about, and they're not as frightened about it towards the end of harvest or towards harvesting. So
Yeah.
it is what it is,
Yeah.
but that's how we manage it.
Yeah. You have to. Yeah. This spring, Nancy and I pet sit as we travel, and we were in Peachtree City. And I don't know if you've been on the show with Andrea, but she has a ceramic studio. And so at the studio, all she has all these bluebirds nesting everywhere.
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
gosh. And it's awesome. Well, here comes the crows and the ravens going after the little nests, because some of them don't go in their little bird boxes. There are other finches. She comes home, and so like I was running around in the garden just waving my hands like a crazy person. And then, later I say, okay, Nancy, give me some wine because then I don't look like so crazy. Just
Wow.
running around. She comes home, and they have these air guns. It isn't real bullets or anything. It just is the noise. So
Right,
she
right,
comes
right.
home and she sees them come towards the birds on the front porch. She comes running out, and she's like, crazy woman. I felt like Annie Oakley was like out there, and out she goes. And then her husband is so cool. He's funny. He says, well, you can't be the only one. He runs out the back and gets the birds at the back. But it was the ravens and crows are
Oh,
they're
sure.
they're really
Oh,
they're
yeah, they get
predators,
bad. Oh, yeah,
but
no,
they're
I
smart. I love
agree.
them. But yeah, so there's birds are, yeah, birds of a feather, right? But so
Yeah.
how is the vineyard? Because I know with the storms and the monsoons, have you been okay with that? I know you mentioned the last show that you had some, was it shattering? That I
Shatter. Yep, yep, yep.
okay,
From you
my
you
new
got
term.
it. Yep. We see some of the results of that. So it impacts the amount of grapes that we're going to be able to get on some of the vines, but certainly not as bad as we thought it was going to be. And it
Good.
impacted the Grenache and the Syrah
Uh-oh.
somewhat.
No.
Yeah, I know. And the Viognier actually a little bit too, but no, but I think we're going to be talking about the word of the day, and I think we're going to be okay in terms of our yield. And
Okay,
so
that's good.
I think we're going to be okay. So
Mhm.
yeah, Eurasian is great. The vineyard looks beautiful. Everything's going as we hope. The monsoon rains haven't been horrible or
Mhm.
unmanageable yet. No hail damage or anything like that.
That's
And
awesome.
exactly. So knock on wood if I could. My table is glass here, so I can't knock on it, but
Yeah.
knock on wood for us and keep you in our thoughts that it continues.
Yeah, yeah, because I think the monsoon season has been awesome so far, and the desert needs it, always needs
Right.
it, right? So we need
Always.
water. I just wish it would dump a whole bunch in the Colorado River too. Like,
Right.
really, can I just take someone's hose and put it in there?
Yeah.
That's how
Run
I
the
feel
hose. Yeah.
yeah, right. But so yield, you're looking good now. When you are planting every year, and like I know you've got your babies. Did your babies, they okay? Your new
Oh my
babies?
gosh, the babies are doing great. Yes. So we're actually training those young vines that we planted this year. We're training them to be on, to grow properly onto the fruiting wire. And we pretty much had almost 100% take of the
Wow.
vines that we planted. So yeah, we're
I bet
thrilled
you
about that.
Kurt talks to them, doesn't he? When he goes out there.
He does. He
Yeah,
is
I think he does. I
he's the
think so.
vine whisperer. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He goes, now you see this vine over here? Now this is what you could grow up to be if you follow
Exactly.
these steps, right? I know. And it's
Yeah.
like, and you're gonna be the most beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
Grenache that we've ever made. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see it,
No, he is. Yeah,
Well, I
he
think
does.
it's such hard work what you do, and we really respect it. And it's and when you hear of any kind of storm and damage, like I just cringe every time I see anything going on across the country with the weather, because
Right.
I think immediately of people that are in the agricultural world, and of course parks, anything to do with
Right.
land. Well, there's wildfires right now again, of course,
Right.
hurricanes, which we just dodged, but all of that does do some damage to even
Does.
fishermen and all of that. So we always kind of like, oh, we grab a glass of wine, take a sip, and do a prayer. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
No, thank you. It
yeah,
helps.
yeah,
It helps.
I
Yeah.
think so. But do you have to kind of go like a rule of thumb? Like,
Right.
Nancy's always talking about my nana, and she always says, you plant one for you, one for your neighbors and community, and one for the birds, because the birds
Right.
will always take it. So if you don't, you know, actively
Plan
plant
for
for
it.
them, yeah. So do you do that kind of thing when you're planting, and also just as, watching the growth and everything? Do you go, okay, well, we always know there's going to be this kind of percentage, so just expect it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just the way we chose to grow grapes, and not, the birds are going to get some, and that's perfectly fine with us. So yield is our word of the month, and that this is the time that we begin to project how many clusters per plant we might have, so we can begin to determine how big our harvest is going to be, how many
Okay.
tons are we going to be pulling in
Wow.
terms of grapes. And so that's really important, so we can make sure that we have enough staff basically,
Hmm.
to do the harvest, but also that we're prepared in terms of the barrels and the space that we might have to have in the winery for pulling in that harvest. So Kurt begins to go through the field and do a field survey of how many clusters per vine there might be. And historically, we know that we have brought in about 3.5 tons of grapes per acre. And as you
Wow.
know, we're about 13 acres.
Wow.
But of course, every varietal, each of the different varietals will produce a different yield per vine. So for example, the Grenache is the most prolific. They produce a lot. Then our Viognier is a heavy producer, also usually. And then Syrah is typically our lowest yield. And so we really take care of the grapes that we have because we're not going
Yeah.
to get a bunch of those, but
I
it's
need to
a
go sing to them. I want to go sing to them
exactly.
next time I come out. You know, those Syrahs are like they're gold.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So yield is very important for us to begin to determine how much we might be getting.
Mhm.
And you get about 50 cases of wine per ton of grapes that we produce. So all of that we're beginning to figure out at this time in the vineyard is what that yield might be. And Kurt's really good at determining yield.
Mm.
And of course,
Mm.
between now and harvest, something can happen that will impact that yield. But right now, and he'll have to make adjustments, but right now he's getting a good feel for the yield.
Mm. So that's a lot. Do you have to kind of, I know we'll be talking harvest soon, but I mean, it's not like everybody's like, okay, we'll ripe on one day. We'll be ripe in 5 minutes. Everyone get your shears. No,
Yeah,
So like what, I mean, so they're all going to stage themselves, right?
they stage
Hopefully.
themselves. Yep. And it's hard to determine. Like I have friends that want to come down and help with harvest. And so what date can we come down and do it? It's like, I can't tell you a date. I don't know what the actual
Wow.
date might
I
be.
want to do
You
it
have to
too.
be, you have to be flexible. I mean, there's plenty of things for us to do in the winery and so on, but it might not be harvesting that particular day or not. But
Mm.
we'll know as we get into August. We think we're going to start harvesting middle to late August. But it all depends on how the weather. It's been hot this year.
Hmm.
It's been very hot this
It
year.
is
So
hot.
yeah,
Across the country. I mean, it's really interesting going from back east to here, and we haven't done Arizona heat for a while, like for
yeah,
summer, right? And then the hottest part of summer. And I like it. Like, I don't know, I like the dry heat. I mean, it's dry. I mean,
it is
monsoony
still
is good,
dry.
but compared to back east, and back east is like flooding and been so rainy and so
Right.
damp. It's like everybody has humidifiers there because of that. So I think to grow grapes there has got to be like hell, quite
Yeah.
frankly, because at least you get some breezes here.
Right, right. Yeah, I always tell people if you're in the South or in the Southeast, come to Arizona in the summertime. Our resorts have incredible um, discounts, and you can stay in a beautiful resort with these big
Mm-hmm.
swimming pools where you lazy rivers and everything
Oh, we
like
like
that.
that with a cocktail.
Yeah, and the cocktail, just stay on the lazy
Mm.
river at a resort, and the weather is so much better than the 100% humidity and 100
Mm.
degrees in the south. Um, you can deal with summer weather in
Yeah.
Arizona. Yeah,
You can't, in the mornings. Oh my gosh, I'm up. I start getting up at 1 o'clock here because I'm in a different, like, I don't know what my zone is anymore. Traveling full time, it does it to you, but I'm up at
right,
1 and I'm like, I don't need to get up. But then I'm like, yeah, but I could. But then like 4-ish, when you start seeing it, everybody waking up, the birds
right.
start, and oh my gosh, and to hear doves again makes my heart happy. I
Oh
really miss all the
gosh.
doves. You forget
Uh-huh.
that back east, they have doves, but it's like they have more robins and it's
Right,
just different, right? But
right.
I miss the doves. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, and then see the sunrise, but it's cooler and you go out and you check. I'm all into the plants. She has a wonderful garden here. So I'm all like, is everybody getting water? Do you need a little
Uh-huh.
care? And then in the evening, as it cools down, I mean, it's awesome. It is
Yeah.
awesome, but it is a good time to eat fruit. So let's talk about fruit. You have a
Yes.
recipe for us? Tell us
I
about the recipe.
do.
It's
I
got
do have
grapes.
And
Ooh,
actually, I'm having a dinner party and I'm serving this for an
oh, cool.
appetizer. It's ricotta, cheese, and roasted grapes,
Ooh,
crostinis. So it's very
ooh,
simple. It's made with seedless green and black or red grapes, and you roast them. You put a little olive
ooh,
oil and balsamic vinegar, drizzle some
ooh,
balsamic vinegar on. You take deseed, well, excuse me, you take the stems off and put them on a pan, toss them with all that, little salt and pepper, roast them for about 15 minutes until they just begin to pop a little bit,
ooh.
and make your crostini toast. And of course, I do that with a little olive oil
Mm.
and garlic and
Ooh,
sometimes
yes.
with butter even, and toast
Hmm.
those and make those really nice. And you spread it with a little ricotta cheese, put the grapes on top of that, and put a drizzle of honey over top of that, a little salt and pepper, and rosemary, sprigs of chopped
Oh,
rosemary on top. Just a
mm,
wonderful little appetizer, a little sweet, little savory,
I
and
like it.
a lot yummy. So
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Like
yeah,
really,
yeah,
I never thought
yeah.
of roasting grapes. Now I want to do it just for the fun of it. Just,
Oh, roast, yes, especially if you get those huge things of grapes and maybe you've
mhm.
been eating them and they start maybe not looking the best as
Yeah.
they can be. Roast them and they're great with pork. Make a
Oh,
little sauce with roasted grapes and put it over your pork. Or
mm,
again, just roast them a little bit with a little balsamic vinegar or flavored vinegars, put it over
oh.
cheeses like brie. Just, yeah, they're just an easy, adds a little sweetness,
Oh.
a little pop to whatever you want.
Why didn't you talk to me the other day? I was finishing off grapes and I've got brie cheese I have to eat. Such a
Oh,
sad life.
oh, goodness, that would have been perfect.
Well, I mean, I cantaloupe and brie. I don't know now.
Cantaloupe and brie. Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
brie
know.
goes with anything, especially if
Everything.
you get that triple brie. I mean, what
I'm
can't go
I'm not
wrong?
gonna lie, but I have been known to even make brie quesadillas,
Uh-huh.
and I'm
Or
gonna tell you they're good.
or if you have figs and you want to stuff them with a little bit of brie and wrap
Oh,
them with prosciutto and
okay, we're back into the figs. Okay, so
yeah.
figs, this because if depending on where you are in the country, figs are a big deal, and when they're
Right.
abundant, if the raccoons got them, well, they
Right.
love them. I'll never forget a friend who had a farm. She did these amazing strawberries, lettuce, all kinds of tomatoes, heirloom, everything. And I remember one night, and she had a bed and breakfast attached, and
Uh-huh.
she went to, I think we were letting a cat or dog out or something. We looked out and she had her flashlight on and her fig tree was just this sea of eyes. And it
Oh
was all
goodness.
these raccoons having a fig party. And she's like,
Yep.
well, that's that. But then they had left her some, but she did like figs with like a
Goat cheese.
yeah, goat cheese or sometimes that Greek yogurt and
Oh,
honey
uh-huh.
and
Okay.
honey on it. But what
Perfect.
would you do wine wise? Because I would go more. My initial thing, first thing was to go for a Chardonnay when I thought about that, but now I
Mm,
don't know.
I
Mm.
think I would go to a light red, actually.
Oh,
I would
okay.
I would go to like our Grenache or our blend,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
medium blend, I think, or a Pinot Noir might be nice, or a Sangiovese might be nice with that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'd go medium reds
So
with
when
fig.
you're looking at fruit, are we looking at acidity levels, sugar, sweetness levels, earthiness? Because that's the other thing, earthiness.
Yeah, yeah. You want to balance the sweetness and the acidity with whatever the fruit characteristics are, and the wine characteristics. So you don't want one to be overpowering, obviously, and you want your wine to at least be as sweet as the fruits that you are going to
Mhm,
be pairing it with.
mhm,
So yeah, there's that balance always. That's the key thing in anything you're doing. You don't want um, a wine that is heavily oaked. for example, if you're choosing a fruit that's really
Mhm.
fruity, you don't want to overpower it with oak. So I'd stay with
Okay.
more lightly oaked or unoaked
Okay.
wines
A
with
little
fruit.
crisper.
Yeah, a
Okay.
little bit crisper.
So lighter
So
wines, basically.
yeah, but
Okay.
all fruit, you can find a wine, I believe, to pair with all fruit. And of course, it all depends on how you're cooking or using your fruit. Is it going to be served raw, or are you going to grill it, or are you going to saute it, or are you going to put it in the oven like we've talked about with the grapes?
Mm.
That'll all determine also what wine you're
Yeah.
going to put with it. But
I've got, I was going to say, I've got a great list of tips from you, and suggestions, pairing suggestions from you, and recipes too, even the sangria, I'll link in there. So everyone look in the show notes, the episode notes for the link there, or go to blendradioandtv.com for that. And also go to ldvwinery.com because you guys have all kinds of recipes. Make sure
yeah.
you get the newsletter because that keeps you up to date with events, recipes, your blog, everything that you do. Video tips, Kurt on video. I always get excited. I'll get my little YouTube subscription and goes ding ding, and I'm like, "Is it wine time?" Yeah, what's going on? So tell Kurt I say hi, but
Awesome, I
because I'm
will.
always
I
like, "There he
will.
is." Um,
Yep.
but the I cracked up because the first fruit you talk about, bananas, and I'm like,
Bananas.
bananas. So like, how are you gonna have them fresh, or like what are you
Well,
doing with these things?
bananas are very sweet typically,
Mhm.
right? And they have that creaminess of them. So it all depends on how you want to cook it. I mean, you can slice the whole banana lengthwise in half, toss it with a little oil and put it on your grill and grill them.
Whoa.
Awesome. And serve them with some ice cream, and then serve it with a Chardonnay or a Sauvignon Blanc or our
Okay.
Viognier. Or you might caramelize them in a
That's what I was
pan.
thinking. Yeah,
Yep,
flambe them.
flambe them, and then you might go with a red
Mm,
wine potentially with that because of the
mm,
it brings out the real sugar and caramely
mm,
flavors of it. And so Grenache or some Pinot Noirs have that richness, that caramelized flavor to them, would
mm.
pair beautifully with a flambéed banana.
Ooh, what about plantains? That would be cool to do.
That I think
Plantains.
the same thing you would with
Hmm.
plantains. Even though the texture of plantains are different than I think bananas are, it
Yeah.
still has, and they're not quite as sweet as bananas are, but I
Mm.
think you could do similar kind of pairings with
Mm.
plantains with that.
And grilling and cooking with fruit is so interesting. I mean, when you're talking about roasting the grapes, but grilling, making the kebabs, and just getting those
Yeah,
grill marks on them. I mean, I want to try and grill mango. People think I'm nuts, but I love mango. Like, and
I think you
oh,
can. No, not a problem. You always want to take a neutral oil a little bit so they don't, and toss them with a neutral oil, like olive oil or something. And, season them, salt and pepper, a little salt and pepper on them, and then just lay them flesh side down on the
mm,
grill. If you don't want to put them on a kebab
mm,
stick or something, but yeah, no,
mm,
definitely any kind of fleshy kind of fruit does beautiful.
mm.
Peaches and plums
Oh,
and pears
see,
all
I
can be
want to put
grilled.
some chili powder on them.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
even some
definitely.
cayenne pepper. So I like that, that spice. So the other ones get black pepper, but no, I'll put
Yeah,
chili on a cantaloupe. Hmm.
yeah. And you want
Yeah.
to you might want to finish it with some of those herbs so they don't get burnt on
Yeah.
in the fire, because that can add that unpleasant taste
Would you
from
marinate fruit? Like, how we marinate
yep,
meat when you would? Would you put
absolutely.
wine
But
in it?
you could, absolutely you could. The key is you don't want to marinate it too long because it'll start breaking down the integrity of the fruit. So
Mm,
I would be careful how long you marinate, but absolutely marinating plums or peaches, like, but choose, of course, like I always say about marinating meats, choose the wine or the wine profile you're going to serve it with.
okay.
Nothing brings a dish together as if you're marinating, say, peaches with the same wine you're going to um, drink with the meal.
Oh,
That's what I would suggest. Yeah.
yeah, and it's peach month. August is peach month.
Yeah.
Millions of
Yeah.
peaches. We gotta love
Oh,
peaches. Oh man, a good and a grilled peach.
oh, a
Oh,
grilled peach is unbelievable.
mm.
Grill it, add it with some ice cream or
Oh
just with
yes.
some cream on top and
Oh,
just and pineapple does beautiful on the grill.
oh.
That
And
is really
listen,
special.
pineapple upside down cake is like for the gods. That is from the
Uh-huh.
gods. It is important to have in life, and you could cook it with a little rum, bake it with a little rum in
Or,
there.
a lot of people forget to grill their lemons and it adds a
Oh,
wonderful flavor. So maybe you're not going to be eating the lemons as dessert, but you're going to serve that or squeeze it over your fish or over your
oh
chicken.
yeah.
It just adds an incredible flavor if you grill them along with your protein that you're grilling.
And if you use limes and you grill them and you use them for your margaritas, it's a whole other flavor
Oh yeah,
profile. I'm
it
just saying,
does.
we're in that season, aren't we? Um,
It's incredible.
it we're talking, you talking about citrus, and I have a weird question. Well, it's
Huh,
not necessarily weird, but Nancy used to know the whole fondue thing, right?
right.
Okay, so that fondue came from selling pots, right? That's how this whole trend was created. But anyway, don't if I ever get everyone into the history of how trends were started, it was all by the manufacturers, and it was.
Uh-huh,
So they're like, what are we going to do with these pots? Well, let's teach people how to cook things in these pots and
right.
make it a trend. So fondue happened, and I'm not anti fondue, it's fun. So what she used to make in a giant crock pot, she would melt chocolate, dark and milk chocolate, I think,
Uh-huh,
rum or like a rum or a bourbon kind of sauce.
right.
Then she would get um, little mandarin oranges,
Uh-huh.
okay, and angel food cake. And
Yes, of
so you
course.
have your cheese fondue first, but this is dessert, and she would dip it in. And
Of
so,
course.
oh, this is like with angel food cake. This is heaven now. Okay.
This is heaven. Yep.
So what would you pair with that? I was thinking, what's the naughty wine? I always call it the naughty wine that you
Oh,
have.
our epilogue, our dessert wine.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Would it pair well with
yeah,
that?
yes, you could do that with the fondue. Because our dessert wine isn't really sweet. It's high alcohol, but it is only 4% residual sugar. So it would stand up beautifully. With that, because of the chocolate, the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate, our petite Syrah would be beautiful with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Also, yeah,
Now, would
even
it
though
be,
you're
it's got rum
pairing,
in there too. So that
yeah.
would that change it? Yeah.
No, I think the rum brings a bit of toastiness
Tropical.
to it,
Yeah. And tropical.
right? I don't think it would clash.
Mm.
And
Maybe I
then
should
the
get
rum
Nancy to
cooks up.
make it. I'm going to
There
get
you
her to make
go.
it. I think we need to have
Yeah.
some. I'm thinking it's good for the holidays. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
really
lot of
good.
fun. And anytime you're doing a fondue, it's interactive. I like dinner parties and food that is interactive, so people kind of participate and you get conversation going while you're
Mm.
doing it, and you make fun of people when they can't do it properly. It's a lot of fun.
That's well, that goes to the grilling of the fruit, right? You can get kids
Right,
involved, but don't stab your hands or anything. But you can
right,
choose what fruit you want to grill. Like if you've got the kebab, right? It's like
right,
it's like having taco parties. Like, here's the taco bar.
right.
That is fun because people choose what they like. But I
Mhm,
would be one of
mhm.
those people who go, okay, I'm gonna take red onion and put it with my fruit because I like it. Personally, I'm
Right,
weird, but I want
right,
that because it does balance. Like the salsa, a
right.
fruit salsa is good.
Mango salsa is
Ooh,
awesome. Yeah. I think your profile, you love the savory and the sweet mixed together, both
yes,
of
and
them,
spice. And I know
and
next
the
month we'll talk
spice.
spice and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm getting amped up for it. I'm going to start doing it now. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the fruit thing, like when you're doing a kebab, like some people put kiwis, and I don't
Ah,
know what to do with kiwi. I don't, every time I've had one, I'm like, is this ripe or not? is it, I don't know, like I have a
Right,
weird relationship with that. Maybe I need to
right.
go to New Zealand.
Maybe, or maybe we don't get them as ripe or yeah, I'm not as familiar with kiwis. I haven't had
Yeah.
a lot of them at all.
Mm,
But yeah, it's touch and go if it's ripe enough or not
mm. Now,
here.
what about berries? Because berries and
Um,
wines, especially champagnes, so you were talking about Prosecco with
Perfect.
peach.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
the you've got to pick your berries wisely, I think, and
right,
try and just don't keep them for days either. They've got to, there's just a picking the right time, the right,
right,
you know,
right.
strawberries too, when they're white at the top. I don't know. You soak them in sugar or what do? Soak them in
No,
wine.
yeah, you can soak them in wine. Absolutely. I mean, perfect pairing, strawberries and champagne. I mean, how much more perfect a pairing can that be?
Yeah.
But or it was sangria, the beauty of making a wonderful sangria and then putting fruit in that, it just
Mm.
accentuates the taste of it. But berries, blackberries, blueberries, those dark berries are perfect with a Syrah or
Mm.
a bolder red wine. And you can either marinate them in them, you can roast those berries, just like I was
Ooh.
talking about roasting the fruit earlier, like the grapes earlier. You can roast your berries, you can macerate them to put, I'm actually making a cheesecake this week and macerating some berries and wine to put over the top of
Oh,
cheesecake.
did you have to say cheesecake? Seriously, you said cheesecake. Mm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Oh,
cheesecakes are one of those things you got to learn how to do
right. Yeah.
because you can't buy unless you're in New York or you're near a really wonderful bakery, but you need to make a
Mm.
cheesecake and they're just incredible when they're homemade.
I agree.
It's one of Kurt's favorites, so I've been
Mm.
treating him to cheesecake lately. But yeah,
Oh,
we're
getting
having
him
a
ready
dinner
for
party.
harvest.
Yeah,
Getting
we
him
have a
ready
dinner
for harvest.
party and I'm making a cheesecake. Yeah.
Oh man, send it our way. I want to go. Well, when you were talking about using the berries in wine, I know a
Yeah.
lady who would do blackberry pies,
Oh,
blackberries and
sure.
raspberries, because I mean they'd grow like Marion berries, and
Yeah.
we're at that season where you can just they're everywhere, right? And so she would, maybe sometimes sweet them up a little bit, but
Right.
she would put some wine in there. I mean, the
Uh-huh.
alcohol does bake out, but
Of course it
it
does.
gives this
Yeah.
wonderful way of, I don't know, it unifies everything. I think wine
It
unifies people anyway. So,
right. It gives it a little bit of depth of flavor than you don't get from just adding sugar to it. It adds a little depth of flavor. Just like
mm,
adding a little balsamic vinegar to something. It's like one of those, what is that? I taste something different in there. What is that? And it's usually the balsamic vinegar that might be added or
mm.
um, so
You also bring up cherries. Oh, cherries and Pinot Noir. Ooh, ooh.
yeah.
Now I'm thinking
It's
I want cherries and I want Pinot Noir and brownies.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. No, the lushness of cherries and the lushness of Pinot Noir, it's like a match made in heaven, like strawberries
Yeah.
and champagne, because
It's a texture thing too. It's not just it's the texture of the wine
it
even.
is.
The
It
mouthfeel, as
is.
we normally say, right? But
Yeah.
mouthfeel is texture.
Yeah. And right now from the Northwest, you can get Washington cherries that are just out of this world, and they
Mm.
are really sweet and wonderful. And yeah, I can eat those all day with Pinot Noir.
Oh man, man. And now what about pomegranates? Because that is, number one, it's really healthy for you. Red wine is,
Right,
we're antioxidizing ourselves here. So we're
right.
gonna all be like, super healthy. But pomegranates are a pain, you know, to like,
To eat, unless you're
dude,
just picking out the seeds,
yeah, I
one
mean,
by one.
but they go well with pomegranate and wine and cheese are like,
Oh gosh, yeah. Or add them to a salad. They add
oh,
that
perfect.
punch to an incredible salad. And they just add a little bit of tartness, a little bit of sweetness, and just adds that little bit of crunch that you might want
Mm,
in a wonderful salad. And of course, pairing it with, a medium bodied red or a fuller body white, I think
mm.
is more of, I'd stay with a Sauvignon Blanc kind of style of a white wine, maybe
I
with that salad with pomegranates.
I've taken pomegranate juice and put it in champagne
Ah,
for
yeah,
Christmas
no,
time,
yeah,
you know, little,
I would think that would be good. Yeah,
yeah, a little bit of champagne or Prosecco. It's and Prosecco and Cava, that's a little bit different. Cava has the
right.
bigger bubbles. That's what I like about Cava. I like the big
Yeah.
bubbles. They're almost oily. Like I don't know.
It's true. No, 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 you're right. I think you're right with that texture. You're a texture girl. You can pick
Yep.
out those different textures.
But that's a good thing. Or sometimes it can ruin experiences for you. But
Yeah,
now, what's
yeah.
your favorite fruit of all time? Like your favorite fruit
My
pairing, like what are you gonna have
favorite
with it?
fruit. I love a ripe peach.
Mm,
At the peak of peach season, and
just
I love
picked.
grilled, yep, just picked. I love grilled peaches.
Mm,
Just, cut them in half, put them on the grill, and then turn them over and do a caramel drizzle, or a just balsamic vinegar over the
hmm
top of them would be lovely. Put a little bit of ice cream on them. Nothing
Ooh,
better than ripe peaches that have that grilled taste to them, I think. But I
ooh,
also love cherries, cherry pie, anything with
ooh.
cherries, I'm all in.
Wow, wow. This is a dangerous conversation. That cantaloupe's getting hacked open real soon. Now, what
But
about watermelon? We've got to bring up watermelon's a huge
watermelon,
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
because that's different
right.
because it's so watery. Like
Yes,
really.
it is,
Also good with
water,
black pepper.
yes, or a little black pepper, pairing it with a champagne and
Ooh,
or some kind of sparkling wine is beautiful with watermelon. Um, let's see what else.
even a Grenache, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I would say, maybe a lighter red could go
Mm-hmm.
with watermelon. You can't go wrong with watermelon all by itself. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not quite watermelon season where we're at yet, but
Mm.
it's coming soon, and
We had
excited about it.
watermelon on 4th of July. We had a little gathering. And a friend we were pet sitting for just came back from Poland, and
Ah,
our pairing. So, Nancy and I have wine. And then she goes, well, here's what I brought from Poland. She
ooh,
made moonshine. So they give you the base moonshine, and then you make your own blend, and then you soak it. And she kept it while she was in Poland. And
wow.
then she bought all these different distilled, vodkas and everything. She was supposed to give a bottle, one for her son, one for her daughter, and somehow her and her cousin drank it. So no Christmas for you. So,
Oh
but
my
she had this
goodness.
this moonshine that had herbs, and so it had a little bit of teeny bit of cinnamon, some teeny bit of cloves, a little bit of like art, like marmalade, it kind of feel to it. So
Wow.
I mean, so we went Polish for 4th of July, but I will tell you this, you got to water that stuff down. Everybody's putting ice and everything, and I'm just like, I'm
Wow.
sleeping good tonight, man. I'm like, but it was so good. It was like a whole
Yeah,
different experience, but it was the fruit that balanced out the cloves and everything. If she didn't
right,
have that little bit of orange peel in it, I think it
right.
would have,
Been
yeah,
too much
yeah.
burn.
But
Yeah.
it was this orange in there that really kind of balanced it out. It was pretty darn good. I'd do it again. Heck yeah, give me the
That
whole jar.
And that's something important to think about when you're grilling your fruit too, is what are the spices that you might be adding onto it once you pull it off the grill. So if you're making a fruit salad, are you putting other herbs in with that fruit salad? Or
Mm,
if you're pulling your peaches off and then you're doing cinnamon or something over the top. So depending on what you're finishing your fruit with, will help you determine which wine you're
mm,
going to choose also. because that
Mm,
might change.
mhm.
If you're putting some heavy spice on it, you might want to go a little bolder with your wine
Mm. Yeah,
or so.
and taste your fruit too. Taste
Yeah,
it first. Yeah, before
yeah.
you do stuff, because that can change as well. One thing I wanted to give a shout outs to in where your winery is, where LDV Winery is, you do have peaches.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
we have peaches up
Peaches,
the road.
apples. Yeah,
Apple Annie, is
peaches,
it Apple
apples,
Annie's? Yep.
apple annies. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's peach season has passed us. At
Oh,
least where they are. I don't think you can still pick the peaches. I think they're done for the season, and they had a good season. But we're getting into apple picking here
ooh,
soon. And of course, it's corn season, so bushels of
ooh,
corn on the cob are absolutely incredible
mm,
now.
ooh.
So yeah, fun time of year to
Put black pepper on corn too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's common, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Or elote. We made elote, the Mexican style corn is so good.
yeah,
Because again, you
yeah,
got that little bit of, lime in there, and yeah, we got to have those contrasts. They
yeah,
go well together.
they
So
do.
apples, when we look at wine, the first thing I would think of doing with an apple. Okay, well, yes, there's apple pie, right? And you can tell
Right.
me about the wine with that. But I was thinking, if you have apples, you know, keep them real nice and crisp and put them in salad, you
Yeah, oh
know?
boy, that's a beautiful thing to put
Mm.
in salads,
Yeah,
absolutely.
little
Or
crunch.
put it with your brie, nothing we
Yes.
like is dipping slices of wonderful apple, like a Honeycrisp apple
Mm.
in brie. It just is wonderful.
Oh,
So
oh
yeah,
man.
use your apple in a variety of different ways, and not just eating it whole, but chopping it up in your salad, making applesauce with your and serving it with your pork that you might be making.
Oh, and
You know,
coleslaw. You can even put it in coleslaw. You know,
coleslaw is
we
beautiful.
make in South Africa carrot salad,
Oh
and you
sure,
grate it, and then
yep,
some people would put a few raisins. You can
raisins,
soak your
yep,
raisins, make them happy raisins.
yep,
And then you could put some pepper in there or some spice,
yep,
um, a little bit of orange juice or pineapple juice. So some people would put slices of pineapple, some would put, and just a little bit, right?
yep.
Or a little bit of apple with it. And so I think a nice white wine would go with that. Like
That would be
even the
beautiful.
Grenache would go with that, I think.
Yep, that would
Rosé.
be beautiful. Rosé,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
fuller bodied rosé,
Yeah.
otherwise it would disappear in the flavors. But
Mm.
yeah, like our rosé of Grenache would be beautiful with that.
What would you do
Yeah.
apple pie with? Because,
Apple pie, again, we love cinnamon. So our
mm,
apple pie, when we make it, is probably over cinnamoned because we love that spice to apple pie. And so we would put it with, we could go all the way up to a Syrah with
mm.
that. So I think it would
Yeah, it
be
depends
great.
on the sugar. I used to
Right.
make this kind of like a pie-ish kind of thing. I used to grate apples. Like you would grate them all up and roll them up and mix them with a little bit of, like, it was kind of a floury mixture. And this was when I was a kid. I did a lot
Right.
of baking, and cinnamon, a little bit of cloves, teeny bit of nutmeg, and then you
No.
roll with brown sugar, and you have
Yeah.
this mixture, and kind of like a cakey kind of mixture, and then you baked it in like a pie, kind of
Uh-huh.
just different. It was different, but
It
it
sounds
was so
wonderful.
easy to make, and it was so good. And your topping is like a brown sugar crust topping. Seriously.
Love it. Love it.
Boing, boing, boing. A little bit of
Yeah.
sugar high, but well,
Yeah.
everyone, I think we've covered the Fruit Loops of the world.
Yes, I think so too. And I hope that people tried their fruit in a different kind of way. And it's a
Yeah.
great way to get kids to eat their fruit. It's so healthy for you. And
Mhm.
we're at the peak of the season. So
Mhm.
try some new fruits and have fun with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Make little fruit animals and things. That's always
Yeah.
fun. Cool.
Uh-huh.
So everyone keep up with Peggy at ldvwinery.com. And when do you open up for shipping again? Because I know it's, bummer right
Still a
now.
ways out, October, probably end of
Okay.
September, October before we can
But you
start
can go to the
shipping.
tasting room, but
Yep.
plan, start looking, start shopping.
Right, and we have an incredible sale going on through the end of August, up to 50% off cases of wine. And so if
What?
you're Yeah, I know. 40% for 6 bottles, 50% for
Wow.
off for a case. We can hold it until we can ship it in the fall. So contact me or get online and take a look at the sale. And you can't get our wine any cheaper than
Yeah.
right now. So
Right
yeah,
on. Good. That's smart. Well, thanks so much, Peggy, and hi to Kurt from my Nancy and I.
I sure will. You be safe and stay cool.
Yeah, you too.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Wine Time with Peggy show. Keep up with LDV Winery at ldvwinery.com. Keep up with Big Blend Radio at bigblendradio.com.